After going through the full blossom, the life tree finally comes to its end, a funeral ceremony. The Chinese believe that we can send our beloved to the other world peacefully through a series of funeral ceremonies. In this section, we are going to introduce Chinese funeral ceremony from both the ancient and modern perspectives. Now, let's come to know about the ancient funeral ceremonies first. I am standing in front of Qin Shi Huang terracotta warriors, which ranked in the top 8 wonders of the world. Why did the people in the Qin dynasty build so many warriors? Actually, these warriors were built as the guardians of the huge underground empire of Qin Shi Huang, the first king of the Qin dynasty. Asian people were very serious in building tombs because they thought that would be their home in the other world. Qin Shi Huang has brought all his belongings into the underground world, including articles for daily use, houses and furniture, jewelry, as well as terracotta of soldiers, civil officials, and craftsmen. The emperor wanted to continue his luxuriant life as a dominant ruler in a different world after death. Chinese people's attitude towards death can be summarized in the following sentence. We treat a person in the same way during and after his or her lifetime. The Chinese people consider that dead people are living for a remote place, and we should bid farewell to them through a series of funeral ceremonies. The various buried objects are the gifts that will accompany them and bring them a good beginning in the other world. We are all familiar with the pyramids in Egypt. In terms of the huge size of the tombs, Chinese mausoleums are quite similar to those in Egypt, and both symbolizes the powerful influence of the owners of the mausoleums. This is the Qian mausoleum of the Tang dynasty, where the only woman emperor in Chinese history and her husband were buried. And this is the Chang mausoleum of the Ming dynasty. Ancient Egyptians painted the life stories and achievements of the tomb owners into marvelous murals. A large number of priceless grave goods and artifacts accompanied the owner into the underground world. Ancient Chinese people took a similar attitude towards the burying of the dead. Gold products which weighed over 100 kilograms have been unearthed from the tomb of Marquis Haihun. Besides money, the Chan bells from the tomb of Marquis Yi of the Zheng state, the thinnest unlined garment in history from the Ma Wangdui tombs, as well as the mural in the tomb of Crown Prince of Yide, honor guard at Que Tower, all represent the highest level of artistry in ancient China. In ancient China, the burying of the dead does not mean the end of the funeral. The last step of a funeral is called the mourning period, Jusang. The closest family members of the dead people are supposed to live in a low and sad spirit in all aspects of life, ranging from their meals, dressing, talking, and living styles. These are not just customs, but have been listed in the law for everyone in the country to obey. No matter the emperor or the ordinary people, they would have to obey these strict rules, which have detailed requirements. In terms of the relationship with the dead people, the time of the mourning period will last from 3 years, 1 year, 9 months, 5 months to 3 months. The closest family members of the dead cannot eat anything for the first 3 days during the ceremony, and can only eat porridge during the second 3 days. They cannot drink wine or eat meat until 25 months later. all the amusement activities are banned during the mourning period. For example, no wedding can be celebrated. What's more, if the son of the dead is an official, he has to go home on leave and stay at home for 3 years without working or any social communication. Why did Chinese people set a time limit of 3 years? According to Confucius, after a child is born, the first 3 years are spent in the arms of the parents. So, 3 years is an appropriate time period for the child to pay back the loving care of his parents. Confucianism, represented by Confucius, attached great importance to filial piety and emphasized that children should show utmost respect and politeness to their parents during and after their lifetime. Since the Western Zhou dynasty, China's funeral ceremony has not changed a lot in the past thousands of years. After the Republic of China was founded, the rites of funeral have been simplified due to the influence of modern civilization. To put it simply, the rites of obituary, incarnation, laying the corpse, condolence, burial ceremony, and mourning period are all kept in present funeral ceremonies, but have been simplified to different degrees. The traditional custom of 7-day funeral celebration is kept in many regions, in which sacrifices to the dead people is held every 7 days for 7 rounds, and the funeral ceremony comes to an end after 49 days. It is worth mentioning that some minority groups in China have their special funeral ceremonies. For example, the celestial burial in Tibet leaves the body of the dead to the eagles. For Tibetan Buddhists, this is seen as a deed of good merit, which can pay back one's bad action and is good for the dead to transform to a new life. The Hui people insist on the burying of the dead people in the ground, which is fast, convenient, and peaceful. Some other ethnic groups have the funeral customs of cliff burial, cave burial, and tree burial. The funeral is the most formal way to recollect the dead person's whole life and to show people's sincere respect and love. In China, we will say 节哀顺变 to the family who has lost their beloved one, which means to restrain your grief and accord with inevitable changes. This is the end of this chapter. If you have any questions, please contact us and leave a message.